From military surplus warehouses to private collections, these 12 firearms represent the last chance to own pieces of history before they disappear into the collector's market forever. Some were banned by legislation, others fell victim to manufacturing costs, and a few simply couldn't compete in the modern market. But every single one of these discontinued weapons has become more valuable since production stopped. Whether you're a serious collector or someone who appreciates mechanical engineering, these guns offer something you can't get from modern firearms: the craftsmanship, the history, the stories they carry. And right now, while supplies still exist in the secondary market, you can still find them. But that window is closing fast. Let's start with number 12 and work our way to the most sought-after discontinued firearm that collectors are paying astronomical prices for. Number 12, the Steyr AUG A1. This Austrian bullpup rifle dominated military contracts throughout the 80s and 90s, with its distinctive polymer housing and integrated optic sight. You'll recognize it from dozens of action movies where the futuristic design made it the go-to weapon for sci-fi films. The original civilian version featured a green polymer body with that unmistakable clear magazine that let you see your ammunition count. Steyr discontinued the A1 model in 2005, replacing it with the A3 variant that lost much of the original's charm. The integrated scope was replaced with a Picatinny rail system, and the unique aesthetic that made the A1 famous disappeared forever. Today, an original A1 in good condition sells for 3 to 4 times its original retail price. The military surplus market occasionally sees Austrian or Irish military versions, but these require extensive paperwork and command premium prices. Number 11. The Colt Python. When Colt announced they were discontinuing the Python in 2005, collectors went into overdrive. This double-action revolver earned its reputation as the Rolls-Royce of revolvers through decades of precise manufacturing and hand-fitting. Each Python required over 40 hours of hand labor, with skilled craftsmen individually timing the action and fitting the barrel. The royal blue finish on the 6-inch barrel model became the gold standard for revolver aesthetics. Police departments across America carried Pythons, and they appeared in countless Hollywood productions where directors needed a revolver that looked expensive and performed flawlessly. Manufacturing costs made the Python unprofitable in the modern market, where buyers expected lower prices and faster production times. Colt reintroduced the Python in 2020, but collectors and shooters immediately noticed the differences. The new versions lack the hand-fitted precision of the original run, and the iconic royal blue finish has been replaced with modern coating processes. Original Pythons from the 1950s through 2005 now sell for twice their reintroduction price. Number 10. The Heckler Koch G3. This German battle rifle defined Cold War aesthetics with its distinctive delayed blowback system and polymer handguards. The G3 served as the primary rifle for the West German military and found its way into conflicts across Africa and Asia throughout the 70s and 80s. The civilian semi-automatic version, known as the HK91, became popular among American collectors who appreciated its robust construction and unique operating system. HK discontinued civilian sales of the G3 family in 1989, making existing rifles increasingly valuable among collectors who appreciate German engineering. The rifle's distinctive charging handle and polymer furniture became iconic elements that influenced decades of military rifle design. Original HK91 rifles now command prices that would have seemed impossible when they were readily available through sporting goods catalogs. Military surplus G3 rifles occasionally surface through import channels, but these require expensive compliance modifications to meet American legal requirements. The combination of limited supply and growing collector interest has driven prices steadily upward over the past decade. Number 9. The Winchester Model 1894. Winchester produced this lever-action rifle continuously from 1894 until 2006, making it one of the longest production runs in firearms history. Over 7 million Model 1894 rifles left the factory in New Haven, Connecticut, chambered primarily in 30-30 Winchester and 32 Winchester Special. The Model 1894 represented the end of an era when Winchester moved production from Connecticut to South Carolina and eventually discontinued the model entirely. Collectors distinguish between pre-64 and post-64 models based on manufacturing changes, but the final Connecticut-made rifles from 2006 carry special significance as the last of a legendary production line. These final-year rifles were marked with special roll marks commemorating the end of New Haven production, and Winchester employees who had spent decades crafting these rifles signed many of the final examples. Today, those employee-signed rifles sell for substantial premiums, while even standard final-year models command higher prices than their modern South Carolina replacements. Number 8. The Ruger AC 556. This selective fire version of Ruger's Mini 14 rifle offered collectors and law enforcement the ability to switch between semi-automatic and full automatic fire. Ruger manufactured the AC-556 from 1971 until 1986, when the Hughes Amendment closed the machine gun registry to new civilian ownership. The AC-556 featured a distinctive folding stock and flash suppressor that gave it a military appearance while maintaining the Mini 14's reliability and accuracy. Law enforcement agencies appreciated its controllability in full automatic mode and its compatibility with standard Mini 14 magazines and accessories. Since 1986, no new machine guns can be registered for civilian ownership, making existing AC-556 rifles among the most affordable entry points into legal machine gun ownership. Prices have appreciated significantly over the past decade as collectors realize these represent the last chance to own a factory-produced selective fire rifle at relatively reasonable prices. The firearms community watches AC-556 prices closely as indicators of the broader machine gun market, and recent sales have shown consistent appreciation that outpaces most other investment categories. Number 7. The Marlin Model 336. Marlin produced this lever-action rifle from 1948 until 2020, when Ruger acquired the company and discontinued the original Connecticut production line. The Model 336 competed directly with Winchester's Model 94, but offered several engineering improvements that many hunters preferred. The side ejection system allowed for easy scope mounting, while the solid top receiver provided greater structural strength than Winchester's traditional design. Marlin's micro-groove rifling process created exceptional accuracy that made the Model 336 popular among hunters who needed precise shot placement in thick timber. When Remington owned Marlin, quality control issues plagued the final years of production, making earlier examples more desirable among collectors and hunters. Connecticut-made rifles from before 2007 represent the peak of Marlin's manufacturing excellence, while later Remington-era examples often required gunsmith attention to achieve proper function. Ruger has announced plans to resume Model 336 production, but the new rifles will be manufactured in different facilities with modern production methods that may not replicate the original Connecticut craftsmanship. Number 6. The Springfield Armory M1A. While technically still in production, the original Springfield Armory M1A rifles from the 1970s and 80s represent a different era of manufacturing, when each rifle received more individual attention and hand-fitting. These early rifles were built using surplus M14 parts from military contracts, including receivers that had been manufactured but never assembled into military rifles. The quality of these early M1A rifles exceeded later production as Springfield Armory refined their manufacturing processes for higher volume production. Early rifles featured USGI parts throughout, including operating rods, bolts, and stocks that had been manufactured to military specifications during the Vietnam era. Collectors can identify early M1A rifles through serial number ranges and specific part markings that indicate military surplus components. The walnut stocks on early rifles show the distinctive cartouche marks from military contractors, and the overall fit and finish reflects the hand-fitting processes used during lower volume production. Modern M1A production focuses on efficiency and cost control, resulting in rifles that function reliably but lack the individual character of early examples. Serious M14 collectors pay substantial premiums for early M1A rifles that maintain their original military surplus components. Number 5. The Valmet M76. This Finnish rifle combines the reliability of the AK-47 operating system with Finnish manufacturing precision and NATO ammunition compatibility. Valmet produced the M76 for export markets during the 1970s and early 80s, offering buyers a high-quality alternative to Soviet-manufactured AK rifles. The M76 featured a distinctive tubular steel stock and high-quality Finnish metalwork that exceeded Soviet manufacturing standards. The rifle's compatibility with NATO 5.56 ammunition made it attractive to Western military and civilian markets, where Warsaw-packed ammunition was less readily available. Production ended in the early 1980s as political pressure and manufacturing costs made the M76 unprofitable for Valmet. The company shifted focus to their civilian hunting rifles and discontinued their military-style production entirely. Today, M76 rifles command extraordinary prices among collectors who appreciate Finnish craftsmanship and the rifle's unique position in Cold War history. The combination of AK reliability and Western ammunition compatibility makes these rifles particularly interesting to collectors who focus on East-West military technology transfers. Number 4. The Heckler Koch P7. This German pistol featured a unique squeeze-cocking system that eliminated traditional safeties while maintaining complete firing safety. The P7's gas-delayed blowback system reduced felt recoil and improved accuracy compared to conventional pistol designs. HK marketed the P7 to law enforcement agencies worldwide, emphasizing its innovative safety system and German engineering quality. The pistol's sleek profile and distinctive cocking mechanism made it popular among European police forces who appreciated its advanced design concepts. Production ended in 2008 as manufacturing costs made the P7 unprofitable in a market increasingly dominated by striker-fired pistols with lower production requirements. The hand-fitted tolerances and complex manufacturing processes that made the P7 special also made it expensive to produce. Collectors now pay premium prices for P7 pistols, particularly the original P7 M8 model that established the design's reputation. The pistol's appearance in action movies during the 1980s and 90s has created additional collector interest beyond its technical merits. Number 3. The Colt AR-15 SP1. This original civilian version of the AR-15 platform featured the distinctive triangular handguards and A1 rear sight that defined the rifle's early appearance. Colt introduced the SP1 in 1964 for civilian sales, making it one of the first AR-15 rifles available outside military contracts. The SP1 lacked the forward assist mechanism found on military M16 rifles, giving it a cleaner profile that many collectors prefer. Early SP1 rifles were manufactured using the same equipment and processes as military contracts, resulting in exceptional quality that modern production cannot replicate. Colt discontinued the SP1 designation in the late 1980s as they introduced more modern AR-15 variants with updated features. However, collectors recognize the historical significance of these early civilian AR-15 rifles as the foundation of today's modern sporting rifle market. Serial numbers below 50,000 indicate early production SP1 rifles that command the highest collector prices. These rifles often feature components manufactured on the original Colt machinery used for M16 production contracts. Number 2. The Auto-Ordnance Thompson M1927A1. This semi-automatic version of the famous Thompson submachine gun allowed civilian collectors to own a piece of World War II history in a legal configuration. Auto-Ordnance produced the M1927A1 from 1975 until 1999, when manufacturing costs and declining demand forced discontinuation. The M1927A1 featured the distinctive finned barrel and cuts compensator that made the Thompson famous in movies and historical footage. Early production rifles included the drum magazines that became synonymous with the Thompson's gangster-era reputation, though most buyers preferred the more practical stick magazines. Auto-Ordnance quality varied significantly throughout the production run, with early rifles receiving more hand-fitting and attention to detail. Collectors seek out rifles from specific serial number ranges known for superior manufacturing quality and original specifications. The company briefly resumed production in 2008, but the new rifles featured updated manufacturing methods and materials that changed the rifle's character. Original M1927A1 rifles from the first production run maintain their collector status as authentic reproductions of the World War II classic. Number 1. The Colt Single Action Army. While Colt continues to produce the Single Action Army today, the original production run from 1873 to 1941 represents the authentic frontier revolver that won the West. These first-generation SAA revolvers feature hand-fitted components and manufacturing techniques that cannot be replicated in modern production. The original SAA served as the standard sidearm for the U.S. Army during the Indian Wars and became the preferred weapon of lawmen and outlaws throughout the frontier period. Each revolver received individual attention from skilled craftsmen who hand-fitted every component to achieve proper timing and function. Colt suspended SAA production in 1941 to focus on World War II contracts, resuming manufacture in 1956 with updated production methods. Second and third generation SAA revolvers lack the hand-fitted quality of first generation examples, making original revolvers extraordinarily valuable among collectors. First generation SAA revolvers in good condition now sell for prices that would have purchased entire ranches during their original production period. The combination of historical significance, individual craftsmanship, and limited survival rates has created a collector market where exceptional examples bring six-figure prices at auction. Collectors who understand the differences between generations can still find undervalued first-generation revolvers in smaller auction houses and estate sales. However, authentication requires expertise, as the high values have created a market for sophisticated reproductions and altered examples. These 12 discontinued firearms represent the last opportunities to own pieces of manufacturing and historical excellence before they become museum pieces. Each one tells the story of changing markets, evolving technology, and the end of traditional craftsmanship in favor of modern production efficiency. The collector market continues to drive prices higher as supply decreases and demand grows among enthusiasts who appreciate quality over quantity. If any of these discontinued classics appeal to you, now is the time to start looking before they disappear into private collections forever. If you want to see more deep dives into firearms history and collecting, subscribe now. Next week, I'm covering the most valuable military surplus finds that collectors are still discovering at gun shows and estate sales.